It happened at 3 a.m. while most of the Western world was asleep. The trading terminals were glowing in the dark offices of New York and London, silent witnesses to a crime that was about to be committed against you, against the free market, and against the very concept of mathematical reality. For weeks, we watched the pressure building. We watched silver, the most suppressed, manipulated, and undervalued asset on the face of the earth, begin to tear at its chains. It broke through $50, it smashed through $60, and then in early December 2025, it did the unthinkable. It began to knock on the door of $75 an ounce. To the average person, this looked like a bull market, but to the banking cartel that has controlled this price for 50 years, this didn't look like a rally, it looked like an extinction event. If silver crossed $75 and headed for $100, the mathematical models used by the bullion banks, entities like JP Morgan, Citibank, and HSBC, would have shattered. Their short positions, the paper bets they placed claiming the price would go down, were billions of dollars underwater. They were staring into the abyss of total insolvency. They were facing a margin call that would have wiped out the equity of the largest financial institutions on the planet. So what did they do? Did they accept their losses? Did they let the free market function? Did they admit that they were on the wrong side of history? No. They did exactly what a crooked casino does when a player starts winning too much. They stopped the game. They tapped the dealer on the shoulder, they called the pit boss, and they changed the rules in the middle of the hand. This video is the autopsy of that crime, but more importantly, it is a warning, because what they did to stop silver at $75 wasn't a show of strength, it was a scream of panic. And once you understand how they cheated, you will realize that they have inadvertently signaled the start of the greatest wealth transfer in human history. Let's strip away the financial jargon and look at the weapon they used. It's called a margin hike.
The media told you that silver crashed because investors took profits. They lied. Investors didn't sell. Investors were forced out at gunpoint. Here is how the scam works. When you buy a futures contract on the COMEX, the primary battlefield for paper silver, you don't have to put up the full cash amount. You put up a deposit called margin. It's the admission ticket to the game. On that Tuesday night, with silver rocketing toward record highs, the exchange, the entity that is supposed to be a neutral referee but is actually owned by the banks, suddenly announced that they were raising the margin requirements, not by 10%, not by 20%. They raised them aggressively, violently, and immediately. Imagine you are playing poker and you have the winning hand. You have gone all in. Suddenly, the house announces that the blind, the cost just to sit at the table, has gone up by $1 million. It doesn't matter that you have the best cards. It doesn't matter that you are right. If you don't have that extra cash in your pocket right this second, you are forced to fold. That is exactly what happened. Thousands of traders, hedge funds, and speculators who were betting on silver were hit with a notification: send more cash now, or we sell your position. They didn't have the cash, so the computers automatically sold their positions. This triggered a cascade of selling. The price crashed. The banks covered their shorts. The disaster was averted. The casino won. Or so they think. If you know your history, this script sounds terrifyingly familiar. We have seen this movie before. We saw it in 1980 with the Hunt brothers. Back then, the Hunt brothers recognized the same thing we see today. The dollar was dying, and silver was the only escape. They bought so much physical silver that the price went from $6 to $50. The banks were terrified, so the regulators stepped in and introduced something called Silver Rule 7. It was a rule so corrupt it sounds like fiction. They declared that effective immediately, no one could buy silver. You could only sell. Think about that for a second. Imagine going to a stock market where the buy button is disabled and only the sell button works. What happens to the price? It collapses. It crashed from $50 back down to $10, bankrupting the Hunts and saving the establishment. Today, in 2025, they didn't call it Silver Rule 7. They called it risk management. They called it volatility control. But the mechanic is identical. They used the plumbing of the financial system to flush out the believers. But there is a massive critical difference between 1980 and today, a difference that makes their cheating futile in the long run. In 1980, the Hunt brothers were alone. Today, the whale buying the silver isn't two guys from Texas. It's the People's Republic of China. It's the nation of India. It's the solar industry. It's the electric vehicle market. You cannot margin call a solar panel factory. They need the physical metal to survive.
And this brings us to the greatest deception of all, the role of the villain, JP Morgan. For years, the silver community has looked at JP Morgan as the ultimate enemy, the Death Star of short selling. And on paper, that's true. They hold massive short positions. But if you look closer, if you look at what their hands are doing while their mouth speaks, you see a terrifying brilliance. While they were smashing the paper price down with margin hikes, look at what was happening to their physical vaults. Look at the COMEX eligible inventory. Look at the London vaults. They are draining. JP Morgan is playing a double game. They are shorting the paper market to keep the price low so they can accumulate the physical metal for themselves at a discount. They are shaking the tree to make you drop your apples so they can pick them up for pennies. Why? Because they know the dirty secret of the modern world. We are running out of silver. This is the industrial vacuum that no amount of paper manipulation can stop. In 1980, silver was used for photography and silverware. If the price went up, you just didn't take pictures or you used a stainless steel fork. Demand was elastic. Today, silver is strategic. It is in the Tomahawk missile. It is in the Apache helicopter. It is in the 5G tower. It is in every single solar panel being installed on roofs from California to Berlin. Here's the kicker. The amount of silver in a Tesla or a solar panel costs maybe $20 or $50. If the price of silver triples, it adds $100 to the cost of a $50,000 car. Does Tesla stop making cars? No, they pay the price.
The demand is inelastic. The industry must have the metal. And right now, for the fourth year in a row, the world is consuming hundreds of millions of ounces more than the miners are digging out of the ground. The vaults are empty. The cupboards are bare. The banks know this. That is why they engineered the crash at $75. They needed time. They needed to scare you out of your position so they could steal the last remaining ounces before the music stops. And the music is stopping because of what is happening in the East. While New York plays games with paper contracts, the Shanghai Gold Exchange, SGE, is trading physical metal. And recently, we have seen the arbitrage window blow wide open. Silver in Shanghai is trading significantly higher than silver in New York. What does this mean? It means that any physical silver bar sitting in a vault in London or New York is being put on a plane and flown to China. The West is being drained of its real wealth, leaving behind nothing but paper IOUs. China is using the artificially low prices created by Western banks to vacuum up the world's supply of strategic metal. They are letting the West commit suicide by price suppression. So where does this leave you? What happens next? You are holding a contract. Maybe it's an ETF like SLV. Maybe it's a digital allocated account. You look at your screen and you see silver, 1,000 ounces. You feel safe. You are not safe. You need to read the fine print. You need to understand the concept of force majeure. This is the final trapdoor, the kill switch.
The rules of the COMEX and the ETFs explicitly state that if they cannot deliver the physical metal due to shortages, supply chain breaks, or unforeseen market conditions, they have the right to settle your contract in cash. Let me repeat that, because it is the most important sentence in this video. They do not have to give you the silver. Imagine this scenario. The true price of physical silver in the street uncouples from the paper price. Physical silver is trading for $200 an ounce because nobody can find it, but the manipulated paper price on the COMEX is sitting at $50. You ask for your metal. They say, sorry, force majeure, we are out of stock. But good news, here is a check for $50 per ounce. You get your fiat currency back, the very currency that is collapsing, and you miss out on the entire wealth transfer. You are left holding a check that buys nothing, while the metal is locked away in the vaults of JP Morgan and the People's Bank of China. This is why they halted trading. This is why they raised margins. They are trying to keep the illusion of the paper market alive for just a few more months. They are trying to prevent the decoupling. Because the moment the world realizes that the paper price is alive, the COMEX dies.
The moment a major industrial player like Apple or Tesla or Raytheon stands for delivery and the COMEX says we don't have it, the game is over. The price will not go up linearly. It will gap up. It will open on Monday morning at a price that you cannot afford. They cheated because they are cornered. A cornered animal is dangerous, but it is also vulnerable. Their cheating at $75 wasn't a sign of power. It was a confession of weakness. It was proof that the physical shortage is real and that it is critical. So look at your portfolio. If you own paper silver, ETFs, futures, unallocated pool accounts, understand that you are playing in a casino where the house has explicitly told you they will change the rules if you start winning. You are betting against a rigged algorithm. But if you hold the physical metal, if you have the coins in your safe, the bars in your possession, you are outside their jurisdiction. They cannot margin call a monster box buried in your backyard. They cannot force majeure an ounce of silver that is already in your hand. The night they halted trading was the warning shot. It was the siren alerting you that the exit doors are closing. The system is protecting itself at the expense of the citizens. They cheated. They will cheat again. And eventually they will flip the table over rather than pay you what you are owed. Don't wait for the news anchor to tell you it's over. By then, the vaults will be empty. The divergence between paper and physical has begun. The $75 battle was just the opening skirmish. The war for the last ounces of silver on Earth has just begun. Get out of their system. Become your own bank. Because when the dust settles, paper burns. Silver remains.